So now it's time to review some of our multiplication strategies. The first one we're going to talk about is the 5 is half of 10 strategy. We like our friendly tens, so we're going to use that to help us out with numbers, especially if you're multiplying 5 by an even number, because it's easy to split in half. So let's look at the ratio table part first. We know 10 times 16 would be 160. So we're using those tens to help us out with our 5s. So if we know 10 times 16 is 160, we could take that 10 and cut it in half, where 10 cut in half is 5, or 10 divided by 2. So if we divide this side by 2, we actually have to cut this in half, which is the same thing as dividing it by 2. So 160, half of that is 80. I basically ignore the 0 again. I know half of 16 is 8, and then I place that 0 back on. So I know half of 160 is 180. So 5 times 16, that's like the number that's missing here in the ratio table. 10 times 16 got us 160, so 5 times 16 is 80. If you take a look over here, this is another way to show that thinking. So we could set up our open array, and we know 10 times 16 would get us our total of 160. But if we wanted to cut that 160 in half, we know 80 plus 80 gets us 160, or 16 times 5 would be 80. Let's move on to another strategy called the over strategy. We just did this in the problem string, but let's use it with our 9s. So if we wanted to solve 17 times 9, we could go over and then take a group away. So we could do 17 times 10, again there's those friendly tens, and then take away one group of 17, or 17 times 1. This is what the equation would look like. Let's break it down in 3 different ways. The first way is, again, with our ratio table. So we could do 10 times 17, that's the missing piece here. 10 times 17 gets us 170. We're going to take away one group of 17, which would just be 17. So 10 minus 1 gets us 9. 170 minus 17, we did the calculations over here, gets us 153. So 9 times 17 would be 153. Over here, here's another way you could look at it. We know 10 times 17 got us our total of 170. So this whole array, this whole thing would be 170. But now what we're going to do, so 10 times 17 was 170, we're going to take away one group of 17 here, and that would get us our total of 9 groups of 17, which is 153. So we did 10 times 17 is 170, take away one group of 17, or take away 17, that would get us 9 groups of 17, which our answer would be 153. One more strategy we can look at for multiplying big numbers is using smaller problems to solve bigger problems. So if we're trying to solve 27 times 16, that's a big 2 by 2 digit number. Let's break it down. Here's our ratio table. We know one group of 16 is 16. We could figure out two groups of 16 is 32. Because we took that 1, we doubled it, and we have to then double 16. We can use 2 times 16 to help us with 20 times 16. So 20 groups of 16 would be that 32, but place the 0. So we have 320. So we're going to use that to help us out. The other way we can look at it is we know 10 groups of 16 is 160. If we cut that in half, we have our 5 groups of 16, which we already solved earlier, and that equals 80. So we're going to use that too. We're building up to that 27. So we have 20 and 5. I'm actually going to use 2 more to get us our total of 27. So those are the 3 smaller problems we're going to use to help us solve 27 times 16. Let me show you over here what I'm talking about. We have 16 times 27. We broke apart that 27 into 20, 5, and 2. Over here is our equation. So 20 groups of 16 gets us 320. 5 groups of 16 gets us 80. 2 groups of 16 gets us 32. When we add all of these 3 arrays up, we get our total of 432. Over here, there's just the equations that can track your thinking if the open array is too confusing for you, or if you want it to match. So 20 times 16 got us our 320, which you see in here. 5 times 16 is 80. which you see here. 2 times 16 is 32, which you see here. 20 plus 5 plus 2 gets us our 27. We're multiplying by 16. When we add these up, these should really be shifted over so you can add the ones, the tens, and the hundreds. We get our total of 27 times 16 is 432. Next, you're going to put those strategies to the test by solving these problems and show your work on the Google slide, and then I want you to check back for your answers. Good luck!